Greetings again, friends. Well, if you didn't look at the last video, you should go look at that because it will help you in the way in which you live to not be so messy or to pay more attention. You can fix things and not forget them. So go back and look at that if you haven't already. But in a follow-up to that, I am going to talk today about paying attention. Now, this paying attention is important in a number of ways. And I wrote a blog article way back about 12 years ago now. It was important for what was happening in my life at the time because I was still going through quite a bit. And of course, I talk about that in my book, The Virginia Tech Tragedy and My Personal Tragedy, Lessons to Learn from an Insider and from Scripture. And in this book, you can see the stages of tragedy that happened. And one of the things that really bothered me is that people weren't paying attention or weren't paying the right attention that needed to be to help or to do what was right. And so I think it's important to focus on some of what I had said in this blog article that was written on August the 4th, 2010. Pay attention, written August 4th, 2010. Please pay attention. This was my plea to a North Carolina judge last Friday as she again ruled against me, not on the basis of real evidence. This ruling effectively keeps me from communication with my 5 dear children for an additional 2 years. This judge once again overlooked evidence in front of her and refused to let me present additional evidence. She ruled against me on the basis of her own misguided and uninformed previous judgments and what another judge had ruled back in April simply because he didn't believe me after reading my testimony in my book, which was entered into evidence then. This brings me again to thinking and writing about how important it is to pay attention. Now, of course, many things happened to me with the court system and seeing lawyers and police. All kinds of things were going on. And I tried to pay attention, and I even kept a journal to help me pay more attention. And that's how I wrote a lot of what I did in my book to be more accurate to the facts of what was happening. But paying attention is so important. And so often people in positions of power don't really pay attention or think through things as they should. And I found that the judge that I had seen who was in charge of my situation with my kids and family, she just wasn't paying attention to what was right in front of her. And this often was true of other things. So that is what set the stage for what I say in a general way about paying attention. Much tragedy happens because people are not paying attention to the events around them. This could be as simple as taking the wrong medication, failing to supervise children around dangerous situations, driving while distracted from texting, talking, or intoxication, and even through failure to notice a troubled soul needing to be helped somehow. We must learn to pay attention more than we often do. This takes effort. It often means even harder work. Our human nature, along with the entertainment and existentially driven society, feeds the problem. It seems easier just to move on, avoid the problem, or even ignore that it exists. I have spoken about this problem in a number of blog articles. Now, it is true that so many things happen that don't have to happen because people aren't paying attention. Many tragedies occur. I mean, just think about what wrecks happen in vehicles and how so often wrecks could be avoided, or accidents could be avoided if people paid more attention. Now, that's just something we must think about more. We do so many things to distract ourselves, and you should know if you text and drive, that is not safe while you're driving. There's things that we bring into our own lives that make it harder to pay attention. But it's just the natural inclination to take an easy way out and to not pay as much attention, to take the path that's easiest instead of the effort that it takes to focus and pay attention. None of us will see everything all the time. How often do you find mistakes in your own writings, or even further consider the words that you say? I wonder how many would even make enough money to survive if financial payment only came through the attention we pay to the things in our lives. Are we considering the things that impact us every day? Are we doing anything to change and improve our situation? Are we looking to help others the way we should and the way God expects us to help? Are we even acknowledging God in our daily living? Friends, there is much, so many are still missing that needs to be seen and learned. Discernment is a real weakness in many lives today, as there is so little daily exercise to determine all that is right and wrong. And none of us really are perfect, and so we will make mistakes. But if we pay attention, we can often correct those mistakes. And when we get into a habit of doing that, like I say, you can discern. Now, discernment is exercising your senses so that you can discern what is good and what is evil. And that is sadly something that is not often done because they don't have the sense or the focus to be able to pay attention. Now, as I'm thinking about this, it just brings to my mind that verse that is related to this in Hebrews, because it is sad how that so often people do not pay attention and know how to discern good and evil. And that came into what I had said here in this part of the article. But it is Hebrews 5, verse 14. And it says, "But solid food belongs to those who are of full age, that is, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil." So friend, that is what I was referring to in reference to discernment. We really need God's help to be able to pay more attention and to discern. And so this is an important thing to understand as we continue in reading this blog. How can we learn about the more important and foundational spiritual things that are unseen if we are not even paying enough attention to the things which are seen? God encourages us to seek things out and get understanding. Proverbs 4:7. He wants us to seek Him and His way and understand who He is. Jeremiah 29:13, Luke 11:9, etc. He notes that we are without excuse here, since we can know much about what is unseen if we simply study what is seen that He has created. See Romans 1:20. Now, of course, it is so very important for us to focus on things that are unseen. And as I note, if you don't focus on what is seen, how will you understand what is not seen? But we're supposed to think on these things. And so I referenced Proverbs 4:7, which says, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and in all your getting, get understanding." Now, I have videos that you can go back and look at in the most important thing, and wisdom is so very important. So you should go back and reference that. But I also referenced how it is important for us to seek the Lord and to seek Him earnestly. And so I referenced Jeremiah 29:13, and it says, "And you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart." Now, friends, we often just half-heartedly pray. We often aren't really paying attention or focused in our effort to even pray to God. And perhaps that's why He doesn't always answer in the way we want Him to, because we're not really earnest and seeking Him with all our heart. But when we do, we'll find Him and find answers that He gives us from His Word. And He wants us to keep asking and keep knocking, and that's what Luke 11:9 says. "So I say to you," Jesus said this, "So I say to you, ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you." So Jesus wants us to continue to pay attention, to continue to seek an answer, and He rewards us when we do. Just think, like I said about financial payment, how well off would we be if we were paid on the basis of paying attention? Often many would be poor. Okay, so I noted also in this paragraph in the blog article about really paying attention to creation. And this is in a chapter in Romans 1 that says that people are without excuse because they don't pay enough attention to what they can see. Because those invisible things are seen. And that's what Romans 1:20 says. "For since the creation of the world, His invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even His eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse." So, friends, you must make sure that you are paying attention. You must make sure that you are looking at the creation, all of the things that God has made. Oh, go back and look at the video I did, Fearfully and Wonderfully Made. Pay attention to the details that we know now about how we as human beings are formed in the womb. Oh, there's so many things that we can learn just from studying nature and animals and insects, and just many things have been. I remember this video that I watched. It's called Prior Claim, and it was by Moody Science, and it basically said many of the inventions that we even enjoy are inventions that have been found by looking and studying things in nature. So pay attention to those things. And when you do that, you will see the design and order. You will see the Godhead. You will see the triunity or trinities in the creation as God has made them, and that points us to that unseen, those unseen things that we can understand more when we pay attention. Friend, please be diligent to pay more attention to the things around you. If you do not, more problems will come and evil will triumph. You may just be able to help that troubled soul, like Sung-Hui Cho, and prevent a tragedy like the 4/16/07 VT massacre. Maybe you could even help prevent another terrorist attack or another mass shooting like the one taking at least 9 more lives in Connecticut earlier today. Pay attention to the things happening around you and be a person like those sons of Issachar in King David's day who were paying attention and had understanding of the times to know what was needed to be done. 1 Chronicles 12:32. You should pay attention to my story as well, for it reflects a dangerous direction our entire society is headed, which will lead to many more tragedies, maybe even for you personally. Please pay attention and be a part of the solution. Indeed, we do need to be diligent. We need to be diligent to pay attention to what's going on around us. You might be able to prevent a tragedy or something bad happening to someone if you're paying attention. And boy, we ought to be paying attention in America, because anybody who has half attention or less, anybody who's paying just a little bit of attention can see how bad things are and how bad the current administration is in this country. And so there better be some people stepping up to have be part of the solution and voting in a way that takes these people out of power who think that they can override the Constitution of this country. And this is what happens when people don't pay attention. You have evil that comes to triumph. And this is what happened when people didn't pay attention to Sung-Hui Cho and just let him go when they kept me, and they shouldn't have. They put him out, and he continued to do things and had signs of what he would do, but people weren't really wanting to deal with it or pay attention to him. And so then he acted on his own and killed so many people. And this often happens. This happened with 9/11. This happens with many tragedies and shootings. Even shootings this year happened where things were put on social media to warn people. What about those who didn't go into that school in that shooting in Texas, and how they just stayed out there for an hour or so when little kids were being shot and didn't act and weren't paying attention to other details that they should have. Oh, friends, so many things can be learned and help to prevent tragedies if we just pay attention. So fix those things you can, like I said before, and pay attention like I wrote in this blog article. Oh, like this video, share it with others, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so you'll be ready for the next video as God leads me. Thank you for watching and for paying attention.